we're back. Good morning, everybody. It's the following day. So, this is the last benchmark of the 4 computers of this weekend and week. So, right here, I got set up the Corsair case, and with the Asus motherboard, the CPU is the FX6300. 6 core, 6 thread, and the video card is an RX570 8GB. And I already loaded up the game for you. I loaded up MSI Afterburner so you can see the numbers on it. And let me see, on the power supply we have 270. On the power supply, this game is using 270 watts. So a little bit more than the other one. Yesterday, the lowest computer was the i7-6700 with the 970, and I believe that one was pulling about 230 watts. So this one's pulling only a little bit more at 270 watts versus 240 on the Acer OEM. Okay, so that means either one of the computers, you should be good with a small but good reliable power supply of 350 watts. Assuming this is your heaviest game, right? So let me see, right before we start, you can see the CPU usage just idling on the expressway is at 100% almost, because we have only 6 threads. So FX6300 is 6 threads, so it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to upgrade the CPU to an FX8300, which right now on eBay costs roughly $25 to $30. I think like $25 to $35 to upgrade the CPU to an FX like 8300 or 8320, and that will definitely help with the CPU usage and bring it down to the low 90s, maybe 90%, 91, 92. So, but just for fun, I drove around the expressway already with this CPU, and I thought it would be a stutter fest, but surprisingly, it's not too bad. So it's kind of interesting. So yeah, I guess this is kind of like the lowest. This is the lowest CPU you can go and not be a stutter fest, is what I'm thinking. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe some of the CPUs that are only 4 core, 4 thread from Intel, the newer models, maybe those would be okay, and maybe like a Ryzen 4 core, 4 thread, like a Ryzen 3 might be the borderline as well. So just to give you an idea, like I say, I never tested those CPUs yet, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, how low can you go, right? So as far as the video card, it is a RX570, so that's a pretty good pairing for this older systems, like I've been mentioning on the other computers. So all the Polaris video cards would be a good match for this. So 470, 480, 570, 580, that little group of cards. Of course, the 970, the 1070, the 1660. I think those are the main heavy hitters and popular and budget friendly for this particular older model, or maybe also, if you go further back, I guess maybe like one of the bigger, stronger R9 video cards and the bigger, stronger HD video cards would also be good ones, And from NVIDIA, maybe further back, I guess maybe like a 780, right? So those are my ideas. Of course, you can always consult the GPU hierarchy. from Tom's Hardware or from one of the other companies. They have a GPU tier list. Check those out. Always always all check the video cards that I mentioned, and then look at the hierarchy and look at what other video cards are close. The only thing I would have to warn though, see, some of the older video cards are going to require more electricity. So like I say, then instead of a 350 watt power supply, then you're going to have to buy a larger power supply. So, but I figure I mentioned that too, just in case you don't know. Yeah, because like if it's a single 8-pin power plug or a single 6-pin power plug, I assume you should be safe with a good power supply that's 350. Like the smaller power supplies, I think the most popular are 350 watts and 450 watts. Those are the two. Either one of those are popular. They're low watts, and those are safe options for this older computer. But assuming you are using a 6-pin video card or an 8-pin video card, you should be okay. Okay? So I think that's all I can think of for the moment. Alright, so let's take off. Okay, so here we go. And we're off. Alright, so we're coming up to the major intersection of this highway, which is the heaviest CPU usage section of the video game. That's when for most of these older CPUs, the FPS will drop below 30 FPS because I guess it's calculating the additional traffic of that intersection. So the CPUs will go even higher, and then it'll force the FPS to slow down a little bit. And that's if the game is going to stutter, that's the most likely place it's going to stutter. So here's the intersection, and you can look down at the FPS and at the millisecond graph, and it's going to start to stutter a little bit as we go across this intersection. And as we pull away from the intersection, then that will reduce a load on the CPU, and then the FPS will start to come back up. What is also stressing the CPU is the traffic. So you'll see, like, as I go further away from that intersection, there'll be less car traffic, which means less CPU usage, and then you'll see the CPU usage come down a little bit, and then you'll see that the FPS of the video card will go higher. Plus, out of that intersection, there's less stuff for the video card to draw, correct? It's kind of neat, maybe like if you like some of this computer science stuff, and you can kind of see how it kind of works better if you use a heavy video game and you got a weak CPU and kind of a older video card, and you can see how everything is trying to struggle to keep the game going, right? But yeah, surprisingly, the game is not a stutter fest like you would think, right? Because normally I think like a good safe pairing is the like on the Intel side, the slowest and oldest computer would be the first generation Intel with an i7-870 or the Xeon equivalent, which is 3460 or 3470. But I'm assuming well, this one, just if you're wondering, this game doesn't launch with the Core 2 Quad, so I think it's missing an CPU instruction set. Unless there's a way to go into the configuration files, but like I said, I haven't really looked into it. If there's a way to bypass that and get the game going, you know. Plus, it's a Core 2 Quad. It's a little bit older and it has only 4 core 4 thread, right? So for the Core 2 Quad, I think it makes more sense like video games like GTA 5 and the like, you know. Yeah, so just by upgrading one generation newer from Core 2 Quad to i7-870, that'll open up your computer to a much larger back catalog of video games. And what else? Yeah, i7-87 or newer. Of course, I mean, if you can, then see all the other older Intel options, because the second generation of Intel, the CPU was, I think, redesigned, and it's stronger. So i7 from a second generation or third generation, I believe, is the same price, pretty close now. So you might as well look for a second generation or third generation. And then the fourth generation, which is Haswell, that CPU has a few more additional CPU instruction sets. And if you get a Haswell or newer, like fourth generation or sixth generation, then that will open your computer up to a larger catalog of video games, because some of the newer video games are picky, and the developers, for whatever reason, require at least the CPU instruction set of a Haswell CPU. You know, unless there's some ways to go around to bypass it, you know. But that would be on a game per game basis, of course. So yeah, I mean, technically some of these older CPUs can technically run the newer games, and you know, would be nice if it didn't restrict the CPU with instruction sets, and then, you know, the developer would have been nicer and just told you, like, okay, well, you know, this game was really meant for newer computers, but if you want to play it, you know, we'll set the lower settings even lower, and, you know, set it to like 720p or something, and, you know, if you must play it, then yeah, at least we'll allow you to do that, so you can at least play your game, if you don't mind the game being pixelated, you know. But yeah, let me see. This is still at 1080p, everything low, so, you know, and it's pretty decent looking at this resolution, so it's not pixelated, so, you know, I guess you know, I appreciate the developers of Cyberpunk in Poland, because you know, it looks like they catered this video game, although you know they know it's a heavy video game, but it looks like they tried to cater to older computers all over the world. That's the feeling I get from the developers of this game, and I guess the same goes for the CD Projekt Red community and the GOG community, which is, I guess, all one and the same in Poland, right? So yeah, support, you know, if you're into retro and game preservation, and you like to preserve older CPUs and older motherboards and older video games, you know, then yeah, I mean, you know, one way you can do that is by simply, you know, supporting CD Projekt Red, and supporting GOG, and supporting video games like Cyberpunk, and, you know, mention it to your friends and family, you know, that don't throw away, you know, don't throw away that old motherboard if it's in perfect perfect working condition still, and, you know, it's not short circuited, nothing's burned, it posts reliably still, you know. So, it's kind of, for me, I consider it a sin to throw away a good working motherboard, So, yeah, try to conserve these old motherboards and old CPUs if they're working, And I mean, I understand like not everybody wants to hoard and put in storage a bunch of old computer parts, but if you're not into that, believe me, there's millions of people all over the world that would appreciate that older hardware, you know. Even if it's like an OEM motherboard, but if it works, that's all there. A lot of people are humble. Especially a lot of kids, they should be humble. Well, I guess it depends on your upbringing, I guess. But you're supposed to be a humble person, so you should be grateful that we have all this older computer stuff that is still pretty good. Like back in the day, there was no such thing as trying to conserve a 10-year-old motherboard and you can still play slightly older video games, right? That was unheard of just a decade ago. So it's so strange to see this, how these newer older motherboards, yeah, this latest crop of older motherboards are still pretty decent. Yeah, because like I said, when I bought, because I'm actually kind of new to purchasing older AM3 stuff. So when this buyer on Craigslist, on the north side of Chicago he had how many? Yeah, he sold me two. He sold me two AM3 motherboards, and then a guy out by the west suburbs of Chicago, he had an Asus motherboard that was AM3. So I picked up a total of 3 AM3 motherboards. So I put CPUs in all of them. So on 2 of them I put FX6300 series, and on this board I installed an FX6300. So I was curious. Because originally I thought I would just not use the CPU and just upgrade it to another FX8300, but then I was thinking about it and I said, well, maybe I should keep one of the motherboards with a weaker CPU, so that I can run some benchmarks and record a different kind of video for you guys, right? So, because that, I guess, it wouldn't make sense to have 3 motherboards with the same CPU, right? So, that was my thinking. So, that's why that's why I decided just to keep the FX6300 on this board, so that, we can load up Cyberpunk and see, how much worse it is to use a weaker CPU. 6-thread versus 8-thread, right? And yeah, see, I mean, that is so weird. 6 threads is not so terribly behind an 8 thread. So as you can see that, we already went around the expressway already. And it's just kind of hilarious that it's not a stutter fest like I thought it would be. So, I don't know. Like right now the CPU usage is pretty much exactly like on an FX8350, but instead of 6 threads we have 8 threads, right? So I don't know, it's kind of cool, I guess. So yeah, it's I underestimated this little FX6300 6-core, so I'm surprised it actually works as good as it does. Oh, well, you guys probably already know, but there's like 1 or 2 Ryzen CPUs that are also 6-core, 6-thread. Some of the real weird unpopular Ryzen 5 CPUs, if you look at the spec sheet of those CPUs, it's not 6 core 12 thread. Instead, it's 6 core 6 thread. So I guess that would be like the cousins and the brothers of the FX6300. So yeah, I mean, yeah, if you see those CPUs for super duper cheap, pick them up, I guess, because yeah, if this can do it, then those Ryzen 6 thread CPUs should perform just as well, or even better, you know. Well, okay, so I guess we've seen enough. Let me just recap then. So the power supply, what do we got for power supply? Power supply, 270, okay? Yep, so the power supply has stabilized at 270 watts. So in this current configuration, a reliable, good name brand power supply that's rated for 350 watts should be fine. But I mean, if you go on eBay, there's not too many good 350 watt power supplies. Though the one I really know about is the Antec or the Seasonic. I think those two have should be safe in the 350 watt range. Is a Seasonic and Antec. You know, of course they're going to be used, and you got to take it apart, wash it, dry it. Visual inspection, make sure nothing looks burnt, and make sure it's not full of bugs, right? You know, other than that, yeah, close her up and let it dry overnight, and yeah, you got a nice, good, reliable used power supply. And let me see. So you can see that the video card is running at 100%, so that means that's good, right? So I already told you the tier list of video cards that are good for this older computers, right? All the way up to like 1070, 1080, 1660, 2060, and maybe a few more other cards. Some old R9 video cards, right? You know, look at the tier list. Some old HD video cards, of course. Look at the tier list as well. CPU, yeah, FX6300. I would say this would be the minimum. I would think there might. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I think FX6300 is the minimum. i7-870 is another good minimum. What else? X58. If you get a workstation X58. Yeah, with a 4-core 8-thread CPU or a 6-core 12-thread CPU and 16 gigs of memory, you should be golden there as well. Yeah, X58, X79, right? What else? Core 2 Quad does not run on this, so keep that in mind. It doesn't run on this due to CPU instruction sets, and I think it's just too weak. So for Core 2 Quad, you need to fall back to GTA 5, of course. Okay, what else? And you've seen the millisecond graph, you've seen the FPS, your averages, right? The average is 40. And, you know, that makes sense. You saw that. We drove all the way around the expressway, and that's the average. And anytime you come to a very heavy intersection, it falls below 30 frames for a little bit, right? And you can see it's not a stutter fest. It's actually playable. Okay, and I try to take off of this is running Windows 10 IoT, so it's pretty much as light as possible for Windows 10. With Windows 10 IoT, there's pretty much no background processes. The only thing I got running is just a game and MSI Afterburner. We are in offline mode, no internet, no account. This is a DRM-free game from GOG. So this is pretty much as light as possible. Yeah, nothing else is running. I even turned off Windows Defender. I mean, which would make sense. Why would you care to have Windows Defender running in the background? So I turned it off. So Yeah, there's pretty much nothing running right now. Okay. Oh yeah, besides installing Windows 10 IoT, I recommend installing OpenShell as your taskbar. You know, that one looks like Windows 7. To me, the Windows 7 OpenShell program makes a lot more sense than either the start menu from Windows 10 or 11. You know. And what else? If you want more information on Windows 10 IoT, the two guys on YouTube that talk about it a lot is Tech Syndicate and Tech Yes City. And technically, right now, you should be able to install Windows 10 IoT or 11 IoT. But I think for I think logically, you might as well just install 10 IoT because it should be a little bit lighter and doesn't use as much CPU power, right? Yeah. So I would think 10 IoT makes more sense. Because look at this game. We're already running this game at almost 100% usage all the time, and now you want to install Windows 11 on top of that? Makes no sense, right? Yeah. And what do I got for a cooler? Oh yeah, on this cute little CPU, the FX6300, I have installed a contact, I believe. Yeah, let me make sure. Let me take a peek. Yeah. Yeah, the CPU cooler is a contact. It's a contact 92 mil. It's a cute little cooler. It's a contact 92 by Thermaltake. Thermaltake Contact 9, I think it's called. Thermaltake Contact 9, and the fan is 92 millimeter. It's a cute little fan. And you know, it's more than enough. So technically you should be safe and just use a standard AMD flower cooler, or you can pick up one of these baby little 92 millimeter tower coolers, and you can see the CPU usage is very low, right? And nothing is overclocked, so it's running at the stock CPU clock speed, whatever that is. You know. What else? The GPU, it's running at stock, RX570 8 gigabit. But as you can tell in this older game and at these settings, you don't really need the 8 gig video card. You can get away with just buying the 4 gigabit video card. So, yeah, you know, that's also keep in mind. If you're playing mostly a back catalog of older games, you should be fine just using the 4 gigabit video cards, like RX570 for 74 gigabyte, GTX 970 4 gigabyte. I think the GTX 980 is 4 gigabyte, right? Stuff like that. And system RAM, I have 16 gigs installed. You know, right now, like I say, the RAM is at 7,500, but I've seen this game go a little bit over 8,000, so I think it just makes more sense. Spend a couple dollars more and install 16 gigabits of 16. Yeah, you know, if you can, you know, you have the money, it's best to buy 2 RAM sticks with a total of 16 gigabytes of DDR3 1600, which is the same RAM sticks that you would use in 4th generation Intel Haswell, right? And yeah, that's it. Okay, so let me stop the game, and then I'll stop the video. Let's post it to YouTube after I do a little editing, some light editing in Sony Vegas Pro. And then I think maybe the only thing I'll show you really quick is I'll make a tiny separate video segment, and I'll just show you how the computer looks like when you turn it on, even though there's not much to see, but I figure maybe you want to see it anyway, just in case, which will take only a few minutes. Okay, so I will be right back. I'll do that recording, and then that's it. Today's Sunday. I'm finished. Yeah, I'm almost finished with all the recordings. So this afternoon I'll start editing it really quick, and hopefully start posting the videos tomorrow. which will be Monday. And the date, the exact date, we're Sunday somewhere in the middle of the month of May 2025, and we are here in Brighton Park in Chicago, Illinois. Okay, so I think that's it. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something, and see you in a bit. Bye.